So now, so we are going to go through block 4 of HRD. So block 4 of HRD, it's actually, it does have multiple things. One, it starts with the human resource planning, which is goals of human resource planning, and corporate responsible, social responsibility. Then it goes into business strategy, operational strategies, and retention of the qualified and technical staffs, planning investment. These are the typical units that it actually goes through. It starts with unit 1, which is on the human resource planning side and corporate social responsibility. Actually speaking, human resource planning related aspects are something that we have already gone through in the previous units. It's not first time. In fact, entire block 1 is was talking about human resource planning, if you remember. So the first half of this particular chapter is kind of a heavy repetition of whatever that we went through in the block 1. But still, at a fast pace, we will actually go through. So crux of this particular unit is mainly in the social responsibility side, which is the second half of the unit. Right? That is where the majority of the questions are. To start with, it starts with the principles of human resource planning, right? First and foremost, right, what are the principles? First, setting up of human resource planning unit itself. So it should have a dedicated unit, and this particular unit should mainly concentrate on the human resource planning aspect, right? So whatever the skill requirements which are there, recruitment and all those stuff, whatever that we actually talked about, would be the dedicated capabilities of this particular unit. Second, planning time span. So basically, this is like there should be a framework and a plan for this particular department to actually act on. So they need to create a plan and also associate specific time period when exactly these planned elements needs to be there. So first thing is setting up. Second thing is they need to actually do some kind of a planning and associate a timing to it. Okay. The next principle is determination of scope and details of the plan. Right. So now you have plan. Now you need to actually go into the details of that particular plan, right? So should have for each of these particular plan item, it actually talking about next step by step process that needs to be executed or done, right? So things like I mean recruitment policies, training strategies, and how exactly grievances needs to be addressed. All these things would be part of those particular plan. Okay. And and the last thing is on the accurate information is nothing but it's not just about how you are going to deal with these operational process. It should also be on top of what are the future things that might actually affect overall the planning or overall the organization. So it needs to know what would be the future recruitments, what is the effect that it would have in terms of salaries of the people, promotions of the people, jobs of the people. So those kind of information which actually indicates what is going to come in future is also something that this planning unit needs to get. So these are the 4 principles of human resource planning. Okay. The next goes into the goals and objectives of human resource planning. So first, planning aims to assess strategies of human resource management, right? So it is like this. I mean, what exactly planning is supposed to do, right? It is like you are trying to assess whatever the strategies that human resource management is supposed to do. So basically, you are trying to work out those particular strategies. That is what planning should aim, right? It should actually predict the future requirements. So we talked about this future requirements and number of times in block 1. It should assess the training needs, what kind of training and development that it needs to do to ramp up the skills, how to cut the cost. So how exactly you need to optimally use the resources who are there in the company. So this is what cutting the cost is all about, right? You should not actually recruit again for even though the skills are there somewhere else. Okay, so next is helping people to meet their professional competencies. So basically, you need to actually, first of all, you need to use right people in right place. Also, you should actually update the present employees with the new skills, whatever that is required. Also, trying to actually, in case if the demand is there in a particular skill, and if it is not there, you can probably recruit people. So here you are talking about helping to meet the demand. Okay, so next is helping to meet the demands of the customers. So basically, what customer wants, based on that, you should be able to predict the requirements that are coming. So you should be understanding customers as well. Okay, so this is how the customers are going. So based on that, this is what would be the skill demand that could come, and because based on that, this is what I need to recruit, or this is what I need to upgrade the skills. Then manage the change. So if there are any changes which organization strategy defines, so that should be managed. Basically, you should have that particular flexibility in the employees. If not, you're going to bring that flexibility into the employees and facilitate that change. Next, managing the diverse workforce. So these are all, I think whatever we spoke from the goals point of view, Block 1 does have major chunks of data talking about all these things. We have a unit which talks about how exactly diverse workforce need to be managed. We talked about training and needs. We have a unit which covers the training and development aspect, right? And predicting the future needs also we have blocks. So all these things are like probably topics in the unit, I mean in various units in block 1 and block 2. So next, going into factors affecting the human resource planning. Okay, so what are the things that would affect? Obviously, we are talking about trends in the employee opportunities. COVID hit to I think the attrition increased. People found jobs in their own location. So it's like trend changed. So it could be economic factors or it could be something else, but there is a trend change that is actually happening in the way that people are, thinking. Demographic factors, right? In certain countries, you have like aging population. For example, China does have more population which is aging rather than having a young population. So always your company would have a outflow more. So people who are returning are more than people who can be recruited. So it's a big challenge, right? So next is organizational change. So any cultural aspects which are being changed that could actually pose a challenge. Diverse workforce. Okay, so if you have a diverse workforce, we talked about a lot of challenges which diverse workforce really brings onto the table, right? Turnover rate of employees. So let's say suddenly attrition increased, people started leaving. Then you will have to probably ramp up your other mechanisms to reduce the attrition and also increase whatever the input that you could take, right? So these are some of the challenges, or rather, issues that could be affecting human resource planning, right? So next is significance of human resource planning. Okay, so it it will help you to identify future needs. It will help you to retain human resources within the organization, right? It will help you to recruit. At the same time, it will also help you to downsize your employees. That means if people are leaving, you'll be able to manage the downsizing. Or rather, if organization needs to remove or cut the resources, then also it would be able to manage recruitment, retaining, future needs, and downsizing. These are the four significances as far as HR planning is concerned. So now we are going into the significant part of the unit, which is corporate social responsibility. This is nothing but corporates trying to do certain social activities outside the organization to help the society. So these are kind of activities which are beyond the usual responsibilities or business of the organization. Okay, so so how, first is definition. There are multiple definitions to it, right? A commitment by business to behave ethically and contribute to the economic development while improving the quality of life of the workforce and their employees, as well as the local community. Okay, so basically, these are like some of the things that I mean, which is like a responsibility or a commitment that organization shows to improve the quality of life of the workforce, also the local community, and also the society at large. So that is what is the corporate social responsibility, right? A lot of companies do things like cleaning up of lakes or planting trees and those kind of things. So some Malan Becker, he actually came up with a large framework, or rather a concept, to showcase that the impact to the business in the society is actually having, there is actually a ecosystem that is there, right? So we'll talk about that particular framework. So first thing, his view of corporate social responsibility is the the it is all about how companies are managing their business to produce overall positive impact on the society. So that means if organizations are able to manage their particular businesses in the right way, then they could actually have an overall positive impact on the society. So, if it is managed properly, the competitiveness of the business and the maximizing of the wealth of the society, all those aspects would improve. So, there is a diagram which he gave. So, we don't really have to remember the complex diagram and every part of it. But whole aspect that he says is everything that is actually happening around are actually interrelated. So they are all going towards at the quality in which you are actually managing things. And this quality is actually turning out to be positive from the society point of view. The more the quality of your management increases, the better the people's life would actually increase as far as the society is concerned, right? So all these activities are interrelated and they can create positive effect on the businesses in society, right? So with the help of CSR, organization tries to enhance this quality of management, both in terms of people and also policy and the processes. Okay, with changing time, stakeholders are taking increasing interest in the activity of the. So basically, as it goes, stakeholders would actually take more and more time to improvise this particular quality, overall quality. Okay, so so that is what this Mellon Becker talked about. Okay, so the points that you need to remember from the Mellon Becker point of view, you don't have to remember the entire complex diagram. It is all about managing the the quality of management is the one which is going to actually bring up the overall a positive effect in the society. Okay, and all the processes which are happening in and around, whether it is related to a financial, whether it is related to government or NGOs or local communities, uh, everything actually contributes and improvises this overall quality of management of both people and processes. So those are the key points that you need to remember for this. So next we are going into types of CSR. Okay, so what are the types of CSR? So first thing, the responsibility towards human beings of the society. So here, what it is aiming at, it is like doing things which are going to improvise people's life. For example, running a school or a college or funding a particular charitable trust. So those things which are aimed at improvising people's life directly. Okay. So obviously the advantage is, yes, these particular activities when organizations do, they do have some tax benefit. And also for things like, okay, yeah, if they are actually constructing a college and helping people, so there would be more educated employees, right? And you would actually get those particular recognition from the society as well, that you are actually helping overall. Next is responsibility towards environment. Okay, the next point. So what it is, this is the examples that I gave a little before. like planting trees, cleaning up lakes, so reducing the pollution, overall pollution of the environment. So a lot of businesses who actually impact the pollution do actually go and try to correct those particular impacts by doing some CSRs like this. Okay, for example, Biocon here is one of the biggest polluters look like, and it actually tries to clean up few lakes. So, so that they actually correct their particular image and also balance out from the social point of view, from the environment point of view, right? So next is responsibility towards non-profit organizations. So this is like NGOs. There are already NGOs which are trying to help, child care or disabilities or whatever it is. So directly financing those NGOs. So that means this is like indirectly you are providing the social service, not directly. Okay, so responsibility towards business environment. This is very tricky point. So what exactly you are doing here is you are trying to um, you are actually promote other businesses. For example, Infosys gives science awards. Okay, so basically has got a very famous giving where Infosys presents the science awards in India. So they give for mathematicians, scientists, and various other things. Right. So this is like promoting some other business. Okay, so or it could be even related to your field of business as well. So it could be an interrelated business. For example, a dairy farm trying to actually give awards on best farmers, because they are actually the ones who are actually giving them milk or whatever it is. So they are actually trying to recognize the best farmers and giving the award, right? Something like that. So next, we are talking about significance of CSR, right? So first thing, I mean, these are so when we are actually fulfilling what we are actually doing as a company, you are indirectly helping or affecting the customer. Okay, so it's always like a give and take. The customer is actually giving the business to you. You are actually giving back something to him. All right. So customer could be the immediate local society that you have. So using these CSRs, you are trying to actually gain that positive image by giving back something to them, right? So it is like maintaining that particular uh, positive image among your customers. So while you are maintaining it, there is every chance that you could get new customers as well. Okay, so next is formation of safe and healthy environment. So this is mainly about balancing your overall I mean environment, and also things like, if you actually provide education, you are going to actually reduce crime. You are going to actually increase the more skilled people within your society. So you are actually creating more safe and healthy environment in and around you. So the the next thing is on the provision of occasional training. So basically this is where, I mean, you are actually it's again a different sort of education, mainly going towards some kind of workshop, like, okay, you're teaching people on tailoring skills and those kind of things, where they could actually have some professions, alternate professions that could be running, right? So next is helping in managing risk. So it actually what it is doing is, these lot of organizations do have multiple risks, whether it is about taxation, or whether it is about they disturbing the ecological balance, or whatever it is, right? So CSR is helping them, so that CSR in a way helping them to manage these particular risks that they have. And so as I said, for example, Biocon might have a risk of of disturbing the environment here, right? So it is actually trying to balance that particular thing by cleaning up of lakes. So similarly, some firms might be having issues in their particular taxation, which they are actually trying to fulfill using these particular CSR, right? The next is promoting competition in the market. So you are actually creating an healthy environment, and you're actually in some cases you might be even helping your competitors to survive, so that the overall environment is, from the societal point of view, is healthy. Okay, so that's what some of the CSRs would actually do, even you are helping the competitors here. The next is brand differentiation. So overall branding would improve if you do more and more CSR. So I remember there used to be a lot of Infosys boards right in every traffic signal everywhere. So which would have actually created a lot of impact from the branding point of view, right? So these are some of the types of social responsibilities. So here is Unit 1 of Block 4. Okay, so now we are actually going into the next unit, which is business strategy and operational strategies. Okay, so here it talks about the alignment of business strategy with HR strategy. In fact, this is also a repetition which was lot which is already covered in some of the units in the block 1. Okay, and then it goes into the operational strategies of human resource system. Okay, so this operational one is something which is new here, but otherwise alignment of business strategy kind of a repetition that we are going to go through. First thing is business strategy for HR leaders. Obviously, this point I think you would have told multiple times, and there is a section as well which talks about strategic human resource management, right? So what we are saying is business strategies form the core for the HR strategies to come up. Okay, and what are the steps that needs to be followed to align it? So this is steps. There is a special section in block 1 on the steps. These steps are same as whatever that is mentioned over there. So this is a repetition there, but anyway, I'll go through the steps. First, you need to identify the target units. So basically what you are actually doing, you are trying to actually find, identify, analyze, examine what are those particular targets that you are actually working on. Okay, and second thing that you need to actually do, identify external driving forces. That means if I am targeting this, let's say I am targeting getting these kind of skills or doing the recruitment, and what those kind of external driving forces which are going to form the trend for me, how I am going to actually understand the external environment. The third thing is identifying the sources of competition, right? So from where these external driving forces are coming, right? What are the things that are actually the source of this external driving force, right? Fourth is potentials of the organization. Okay, where I am, what is the gap that I have, right? And then identification of HR practices. So now to make an impact, what I should do, right? And sixth, you need to prepare an action plan to actionize. And then last is you need to assess the results. Okay, so now we are going into the next section, which is role of human resource professionals in business strategy. I deliberately skipped one section, which is business strategy and HR strategy current scenario, right? There is lot of just pure text which we can actually fill as far as this section is concerned. There is no question that is going to come, but it is covered majorly in this particular block 1. Okay, so I kind of skip that deliberately because in this there is a lot of text and nothing is significant. It talks about why HR strategy is strategic as such, right? And how business strategy is going to help HR strategy. Like in these changing scenarios, the strategy is something which is like very critical. This business strategy should be the one which is driving the HR strategy and all those particular texts there. Next, we are going into role of HR professionals in business strategy. What exactly HR professionals are going to play? This is also a repetition, but we'll go through. HR professionals must continually update themselves with changing business. So they need to know business so that they can contribute, right? They should facilitate the knowledge at all levels. So that means they are actually providing the knowledge management framework for all of people. For example, if they are collecting data for future trends, that is going to be a knowledge resource as far as top management is concerned to form the strategy, right? They should take keen interest in operational activity of the organization. So that means they need to drive training, behavioral aspects, even leadership coaching programs, etc., etc. Need to be more creative in nature. So I think this is applicable to every job profession. You need to be creative in nature because all the things are like changing rapidly. You need to actually, have start seeing things in a different way, ordinary things in a different way, and should be more strategic business partner. Like you need to actually like a partner while we are trying to execute this particular or define this particular business strategy. This is what is the role of HR professional. Next, going into the operational strategies of HR, of managing the human resource. So first, so so what exactly is the operational strategy? Operational strategy is nothing but implementation. So operations word indicates that day-to-day work goals needs to be met. That is what the operations typically mean, right? What are the operational strategies? So operational strategy towards HRM involves putting HR management practices in place to support and staff achieve day-to-day goals. Achieve day-to-day goals is the key. Okay, it includes staffing, monitoring, performance, etc., etc. Okay, so this operational plan typically would answer question like where our organization is going, how it will how it will go to the desired position. So the how part is the underlying part to it. Okay, so now it also need to be aware of. I mean, organizations in general will have interdependency between how the operational decisions and also the HR management practices. So this is what is the operational strategies in HR planning. What are the benefits of operational strategies, right? So operational plans are developed and executed in preparing or implementing HR plans. This is again saying it is going to be useful. The strategy is going to be useful in implementing HR policy, in preparing to the next level of details, right? It plays an important role in all the processes related to it, right? So which includes recruitment, staffing, training and development, compensation, okay, improving the overall standards of the employees, improving moral of the employees, right? So every odd thing which are associated with human resource management, this is going to improve because one shot, this is what is helping to implement them on day-to-day life, right? So basically, it is going to improve everything. Okay, so instead of all those points, they could have simply told that every process, whatever that is associated with HRM, needs to be implemented. Unless and until it is not implemented, it doesn't make any sense. To implement operational strategy is the one which is going to help, right? So next, going into operational strategies in business plan. Okay, so what are the factors that are affecting the operational strategy? Okay, so first, location of organization itself. So physical location, where exactly the organization is, right? If I am going to actually have an office in Bangalore, it would be different from the office being there in some kind of a remote village, right? So my implementing of certain things would actually vary. The way I do will vary. Nature of the task, what exactly I'm trying to operationalize. If I am if I am trying to define an operational strategy for performance, it is different from compensation, right? Or it is different from recruitment, manufacturing and pricing mechanisms. Let's say if I'm trying to implement something and the price is very, very high to procure that equipment. I'm trying to improvise certain skills. I can't really get it because price is high, right? So those kind of things would also affect your operational strategy. Next is safety precautions. So there are certain safety mechanisms that you will have to adhere, and those also affect your operational thing. And nature of business process and outsourcing unit. So we talked about contracting, if you remember, outsourcing the uh, not so core work to the other external organizations, right? If you are outsourcing anything on the operational front, even their particular skills would actually affect. So those are the factors affecting the operational strategy. Next is benefits of organizational strategy. So obviously action plans are the ones who are going to actually help you to get these operational strategies right. So that is what action plans are, the ones which are going to make business run smoothly. Second, it actually helps in achieving the pre-planned target. You planned something, right? So this is the one which is going to make sure that it is met. So action is the one which is going to meet. So overall, it will help you to speed up the business transactions, meeting the whatever the advantage, competitive advantage that we talked about, which is aim of defining the strategy and all those stuff. Okay, and it improves your utilization of the resources and meeting the anticipated future requirements and all those stuff. Okay, the last section in this unit, business plans, operational plans as technological and innovative step in HR strategy. Okay, so basically, this being looked at from the technology and innovation point of view. Okay, so overall, I mean, the entire operational strategy is an innovative process, is what is the thing that is being established in this. Okay, the first, with the help of the operational plan, organization can introduce information systems as an advanced technique. So basically, you could use information techniques to collect data, which is going to help in assessing the future requirements, right? So you could probably collect performance data, etc., which is going to tell the productivity and all those stuff. It can help you to collect the data. Okay, that will help you to do future requirements, right? So it can help you to do the competency mapping. So while the project is running, you can actually collect data related to what all competencies people are picking up. Okay, and it is going to help you in recruiting staff with effective interpersonal skills, integrity, etc. Okay, so it is it can it can also do alignment of policy process with the desired organizational direction. Basically, it can help you to place right people at right place so that the organization goes into the right direction. Okay, and fifth point, emphasize manager and staff training. So it is going to actually make sure that everybody is culturally sensitive, they respect diversity, including both manager and staff. Okay, and there are three reasons why exactly culture is important. Actually, we read it in detail in the in cultural cross-cultural training and all those stuff. But cultural influence the way frontline people work. Culture determines the way managers support and work with the frontline staff. Culture is a key feature in determining how well the organization can attract and retain the people capability, right? So culture forms a very core of any organization, and obviously this is in support of the above topic. Both managers and staff would be aligned to this particular culture. So it creates the overall environment very safe, healthy, because the operational strategies are the ones which are going to actually make sure that the environment uh, is in the right shape. Next, it improves the overall capability and capacity of the organization. This is a motherhood statement, actually speaking. Next, operational plans acts as an effective support for managers to leverage or use technology. So basically, operation. So I mean, operational plans will allow. So whole point that this is trying to say is, it is going to provide a manager a framework which he can follow. Okay, that is exactly what it is trying to say. So this framework or technology is in the form of policy guidelines. What are the measurements that he needs to take, right? Where exactly he can learn. So by all these operational plans, they will provide him relevant tools or whatever it is, right? So, so business strategies and operation plans have helped in evolving more user-friendly formats of HR policies and processes, right? So this is about the unit 2 of block 4 HRD. Okay, so now we are going into the retention part of it, which is unit 3. Okay, so so here we are talking about how to retain the qualified employee. So obviously, bad employees we don't want to retain. That is why it covered only qualified employees, right? So so the things, it starts with retention of qualified and technical employees. Why it is important to have. So this is just talking about why it is important to retain employee, right? So obviously, I mean, it is not easy to find a qualified employee, right? You would have invested time in training him, tuning him, motivating him, etc., etc. If he leaves, it's a problem for the org, right? And if the employee is stably at one place, his productivity is much higher, right? And there are multiple reasons why he might move away. Got a better job opportunity, lack of motivation, leadership is a problem, your organization culture is a problem, you have overall very low morale in the organization. Okay, there is high absenteeism and accident rates. Basically, people are not coming or showing up into the workspace. Right, all those things are some of the reasons why people. Next one, which is significance of retaining. So it is like again emphasizing why you need to actually retain, right? So existing employee can actually do job better. So obviously the expectations, aspirations, weaknesses, you know. So even for an employee which is already there, so supervisors, superiors would also be very comfortable dealing with the existing employee because you know what he can do, what he cannot do, right? So it is very easy for them to mend things. Okay. So strategies for retaining. So now we understand the significance. What are the strategies for retaining the employees? recruit Recruitment process should be in such a way that you should actually recruit people whom you think is going to stay, are going to stay, right? So that is first, it starts from there. The second, motivation. You need to actually keep them motivated. If motivation is low, they are going to go away. You need to actually make sure that their career is developing, right? If they stay stale, they are going to actually find other avenues. You need to train them, you need to plan their career, make them develop. Focus on succession planning. So it is also about, you need to probably make sure that they train the next set of employees who could actually succeed, or rather take position while they are moving up, right? So you can, it's like creating the chain of resources who are holding hands and moving up the chain. Handle employee grievances. If they have problems, please handle, don't just ignore. Reduce stress and dissatisfaction. Okay, and have right measures to reduce that. Involve more family, generate more family involvement programs, right? Even if family is emotionally bonded with the organization, chances of leaving would be less. Modifying the organizational culture, make sure your culture is good. You have right reward system, improve morale, okay, and have effective leadership, do employee counseling. So these are some of the strategies for retaining employee. Next thing is competency mapping. Okay, so we already talked about competency mapping in block 1, uh, if you remember. So there, the word that is used there is talent inventory. So here it is a small part of talent inventory is the way you map the competencies. Basically, you have an employee. There, the aim of talent inventory is to actually make sure that you have all the relevant things. I mean, as a account from the organization point of view, saying that these are all the skills which are there, right? But competency mapping provides one of the input to actually to that particular inventory. So it identifies the strengths of an individual employee and maps his potentials and other things, right? It could be technical, it could be behavioral, or whatever it is. This would also, going to give some kind of a mirror to the employee, saying that this is how you are. And he will know his own strengths and potentials. Okay, so so there are two techniques when it comes to this particular competency, the way that it is would be captured, how exactly this competency would be captured. First is critical incident analysis. The next is repertory repertory grid. Okay, so critical incident analysis is nothing but basically you will ask employees whenever there is something critical happens, just record, saying that okay, yeah, today I found a so and so problem in so and so equipment, I immediately acted on it, then I immediately called this particular person, uh, advised him to do this, etc., etc. So basically you are trying to report every critical incident and how you have actually behaved in that particular critical incident, right? So obviously when we call critical, in it all depends on your job, within your job scope, right? It's not like critical means you're going to report only high level fire accidents kind of a thing. Critical incident means in case of developer, even finding a defect is like a critical incident there, right? How we have acted on it. Okay, and based on this particular thing, you are actually maintaining kind of a diary, and then you're actually coming back and identifying, using this diary you're identifying, saying that yes, you did well, you did well in this, you didn't do well in this kind of a thing. So this kind of gives a picture on employee competency, especially in a pressureful scenarios, when there is a pressure, right? So that is what it actually gives the picture. So the other way of doing it is repertory grid, right? It is going to actually tell employees, like saying that okay, every employee is going to list down the important attributes that they have as a characteristics that they have, and also what are the things that they don't have, and right. So what differentiation that they make and what are the problems that they have, kind of a strengths and weaknesses is what is actually is brought in, okay, as a grid. Okay, so it is actually helps the employee to have an understanding on where he needs to develop and where the organization requires him and all those stuff. Okay. The next is steps in competency mapping. Employees of an organization, maybe you would ask them to fill the questionnaire. Okay, so probably the questionnaire is one way. The other is probably you might ask them to write their job description. Okay. um, and then using this job description you will actually derive what are their particular competencies. Okay, so and then the last step is obviously first is the questionnaire, second is the job description part of it, uh, and the third is you are actually trying to derive things from these particular questionnaire and the job description, right? So that so 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 that is what is the three steps which are there. Okay, so next is the performance appraisal. Okay, so performance appraisal, what exactly this is? You're trying to actually go through the goals of the employees and see how they are actually meeting, what their performance is. This is generally both informal and formal. Informal means, job is informal means your boss or whoever manager is actually coming to you and telling time to time, saying that you have done this well, you did not do this tomorrow, etc., etc., right? So this is like a regular basis feedback, that is informal. The formal procedure is every 6 months or 1 year, there would be a formal system that would be launched within the company where you are asked to fill what you have done and all those stuff, and that actually goes through a procedure of evaluation, rating, and all those stuff. Based on that, your your perks and other things might be increased or decreased or whatever it is, right? So the formal system requires a lot of time, and obviously it requires financial investment as well. Whereas the informal one goes on day to day. It doesn't really require any big investment, right? The what is the process involved in performance appraisal? First, you would recognize what are the factors that could affect the performance. Two, you are going to set period of performance appraisal. Are you going to do it 6 months? Are you going to do it 1 year, etc.? Third, you are going to put method, how you are going to do the performance appraisal. Fourth, how you are going to measure. Yes, these are the things that I want to measure, but I need to start measure, right? So you will start measuring it. That is step four. So fifth, that is communication of the results. So you measured it. Now end of that cycle, you are going to tell that this is what I got it as the results, and then application of those results. So you might actually train the employees on certain things, you might actually increase, give the bonuses, etc., depending on what you want to do with those particular results. What are the benefits of the performance appraisal? So obviously employees would have a clear understanding on their strengths and weaknesses, because you're actually telling that this is what you did well, this is what you did not do well, kind of a thing. And they know the expectations well in advance because you are doing the goal setting before even measuring it, right? So this could actually have a high motivation and job satisfaction. So once they meet the goal, their motivation would be high, their satisfaction would be high, right? So and then supervisor will have opportunity to control their work related behavior and problems, right? So it is like both employees and supervisors, they can actually show that, saying that this is what is expected, I am doing it. At the same time, manager can say that, okay, I already told you this is what is expected on you, but you are not doing in this way, right? So they have better control on things. So it provides a platform for the employees to express, discuss their aspirations, career goals, etc., right? So they can say that you are actually giving donkey's work to me. I'm not liking it. This is the time that they would actually, tell their particular supervisors to align their goals and all those stuff, right? So overall, it helps organization as well to understand the strengths and weaknesses of all the overall the organization, what kind of training programs that they need to take. Okay, what is the, I mean, overall feedback that on the at the organization level. So these are all some of the benefits of performance appraisal. Next comes to constraints experience. Obviously, a lot of people does have a negative vibrance as far as this appraisal is concerned, because the moment if this process is not followed in the right way, the value for it would actually might come down. Okay, so people might actually think that the things are not really happening in a fair way. So maybe because of some past experience, like a manager did not reward him in the right, even though he has actually done it, or something like that, right? There is a negative environment which could actually bring this entire appraisal system down. Next, lack of willingness on the part of the employees. So basically, they are not keen, okay, because they actually think this appraisal system is negative in overall. People are just taking this as an advantage to bash them, and they don't want to participate. Okay, so also the outcomes. Let's say if these outcomes are not being used, right? Whatever the outcomes that are coming, okay, I did fantastically well, but I did not get the relevant increment, right? I will lose hope in participating it. So it requires an adequate planning. So if planning is not there, then appraisal systems would actually fail. So if there is any ambiguity in the role, so who would be your mentor, or who is the one who is going to be appraising you? Those kind of clarity needs to be there. Okay, and obviously your performance needs to be rewarded. There should be a link between these two. Okay, so low motivation to perform, same to participate in is another reason. So So overall motivation towards to perform. Basically, I don't have motivation to perform itself. So I know my performance is bad. So obviously, I would not really want to participate in performance appraisal, right? So these are some of the constraints. Next, methods. This is going to be important section. There are two types of methods. One is traditional method, the other is modern method. In traditional method, we have something like straight ranking method, where you are talking about, all the employees are compared with the other employees ranked. Basically, you are just saying that he is number one, number two, number three, number four kind of a thing. Okay, and then based on the ranks, you are rewarding them. It is straight ranking. Second is paired comparison. You are actually doing forming the pairs. When comparing employee one, employee two, he is better in these things, he is better in these things, this is the problems here. You are comparing in pairs. You're comparing with every other employee, okay, one by one. Okay, so next is man to man. Here, there is something called as a scale that you establish. Say that everybody needs to actually fix 10 defects for sure. Okay, now I'm going to compare your performance, whether you met 10 defects or you did not meet 10 defects. So there is a scale that you actually say, and then based on the scale, you actually rate it. So whether the scale could be related to leadership, communication, honesty, everything, but you are actually comparing the scale. Next is grading. What you're going to do, you're going to actually put grades, categorize it, just like any other grade, excellent, good, average, etc. Right? So instead of ranking, you're grading it. Forced choice description method. Right? So basically, it is like there are certain phrases in sets are used, then immediate supervisor has to choose one of the phrases that closely describes the employee. So basically, there are choices. You say that, okay, in so and so scenario, for example, in under pressure, how exactly this, what is the best fit for this particular person? And you will say that it's typically like our questionnaires, where you will have four choices and say that pick up the best applicable choice for this person, kind of a thing. That is what is the first choice description method. Next is checklist. There would be a fixed set of questions, statements. Did you do this? Did he do that? Did he complete this, etc., etc.? Kind of a checklist where you say yes or no. The last one is free form essay, where you are going to write big essay kind of a thing, free flowing text. You write whatever you want in a descriptive manner, right? So these are the some of the traditional methods. So some of the disadvantages of traditional method, it generally takes a lot of time. Okay, so it also has got a lot of bias involved, because manager is the one who is going to do all these things. So he might actually put his own perspective or a bias, which might be there, right? And there could be some leniency as well, to some extent. So I think the bias is the one which is actually, could be interfering to that. So next is modern methods. So apart from whatever the traditional methods that we have few modern methods which are there as far as performance are. First is assessment centers. This is nothing but you have one assessment center which is continuously monitoring people. Okay, using multiple methods. They are conducting appraisals, or they are putting tests. They are actually, conducting interviews, or situation on the situation. They might be standing somewhere and observing people, etc., etc. This is like an external agency who are just there to actually assess people. Okay, so that is what is assessment center is all about. And they use all kind of techniques, not one particular technique. It is time consuming. Obviously, it requires a lot of communication to the employees and all those stuff, right? And it is generally costly as well for the organization, because we are talking about overall hiring a group, especially actually, dealing with it. The second technique is 360-degree feedback approach, where not just from your manager, you are collecting feedback from everybody, including your peers, including your subordinates, and everybody is actually telling how you are, what you are, etc., etc., from different perspectives, right? This is again even you might actually rate yourself saying that this is what are my strengths and this is what is the weakness. So a lot of employees doesn't have a problem with this particular approach because they feel that their peers might actually not give I mean, uh, a right feedback because you are a competitor in a lot of cases, right? So next approach is management by objectives. So this is something that we already went through, where you will actually give the goals, clear goals, and try to measure the employees whether those particular goals are met or not, right? So, and while these particular goals are being met, somebody is supervising day in day out whether somebody is walking towards this goal or not, right? So you have those clear goals, and there is a supervisor is playing a coach kind of a player where he is coaching you continuously, right? And planning and all other things are something which comes as part of this, and, and problems are immediately addressed. You are not really waiting for performance problem to be discovered in appraisal 6 months down the line. You are actually coaching the employees as the progress is being done. That is what is management by objectives. Next is behaviorally anchored rating scales. Okay, there are what exactly this is, right? So here again, if you remember, we talked about this uh, one critical analysis related stuff, right? So there are two ways of capturing it. One is critical incident analysis and repertory stuff. So this is based on that critical analysis stuff, where what you will do, you first ask employees to write all their critical incidents. So they write, these are the things that happened, this is how they behaved. Okay, and based on their description, you will pick up points from there, categorize their particular behavior, saying that okay, yes, in this analysis, this is the communication part, let's say. So in this incident, one category is communication. Did he do communication right? Okay, how the communication went for this guy in this incident. So from the incidents, they pick up certain categories, right? So in this incident, did communication go well? In this incident, did he identify right skills to be used, etc., etc., right? And these categories would then be compared. So basically, now you are going to actually pick whatever from their incidents, you locate those particular categories, and then you rate those particular categories from the performance dimension point of view, right? So this is what is behavioral anchored rating scales. Okay, this completes unit 3 of block 4. So now coming to the last unit of block 4, which is planning investment in development. Okay, so in this, what we are actually learning first, it starts with the HRD, what is human resource development. This is again a kind of repetition. What are the strategies of HRD? This is also a repetition. How designing of HR strategy is going to be done. This is also a repetition. Okay, and then it goes into planned investments, significance of HRD, concerns of HRD, and then it goes into corporate counseling. Important questions in this is what is HRD, which is definition part of it, and what are the various strategies of HRD. This is what is the important things. First is what is HRD. Okay, HR planning is an important function. So obviously, it is the one who is it is a department which is actually dealing with human resource management, right? So both human resource planning and management are the ones which HRD is handling. So there are three important aspects as far as human resources are concerned. First, it is necessary that workforce are physically fit. Okay, so so and second aspect is they do have right and developed skills, that is knowledge, okay, and potential to work. Third, their attitude. So all the three aspects are something which are very specific to human resources. First is physically competent. Second is knowledge wise they are competent. Third thing is their attitude and other things are also competent, right? So now going into HR management, right? HR management refers to an approach which not only considers the need of the people and also the member of the organization, need of the people or member of the organization, and equally concerned with the needs of the organization. So it actually matches the needs of the people, manages the needs of the people, and also make sure that overall organization is meeting the need. Okay, so it does interact with every people related aspect which an organization require as such, right? So that is what is the human resource management. What is the concept of human resource development? This is where the definition part is define HRD, right? So human resource management is also known as personal development, aims at all-round development of members of the organization. So it is human resources which are being developed, and this development is being done by human resource development. Right? It is a method or a way to increase overall knowledge, skills, attitudes, commitments, and all those things which are required for the job. Okay, so it's like it includes, I mean, even the hidden qualities like skill or whatever that is required for the newer jobs and all those stuff. So that is about HRD. Now going into the strategies of HRD, right? So first strategy, how exactly you are going to develop human resources. First thing, training and development. Training is the first way that you would actually do. And there are two types of training, which is on-job training, off-job training. Second, you are going to do cost reduction strategy. You are going to reduce the cost. Okay, so reduce the cost. How? There are two things. One, if you effectively manage your employees, you can reduce the cost. Okay, so the other way is I think there are societies which are there within the organizations who actually which pool smaller contributions, which actually which are deducted generally from the salaries of the employee. In case of very unexpected incident from the employees, this employee welfare fund and other stuff would actually help to recover those particular employees. I mean, from that particular unexpected scenario. Next is entrepreneurship strategy. So here you are actually promoting people or developing people on their creative skills. You are promoting them to be more creative, and you are giving free hand to actually give that entrepreneurial angle to your organization. Next is cultural development, the culture developing strategy. So here you are trying to cultivate right culture required for the organization and the person. Performance appraisal system. So this is again we read what exactly is the performance appraisal system is. The last thing is career planning. Okay, so the this word is also very evident. You are going to help people to plan their particular career, how exactly their career should actually go on. So now we are going into the section of designing HR strategy. So there are 5 steps in it. Okay, diagram does have 4 only, but there is a 5th step which is implementation. Okay, so there are 5 steps. First is need survey. You need to understand what exactly is the need in the market, and then based on that, you need to do mission statement. What exactly is your mission? Next is do SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is nothing but what are your strengths, what is the weakness, where are the opportunities that you have, what are the threats that you have. Those are SWOT analysis, right? You're analyzing yourself where you are. Next is HR analysis. So now at the organization level, you did SWOT analysis. Now you are bringing that to your HR practice and trying to actually study what are the potentials, what is the deficit, and what are the ways to actually improve and all those stuff. What you need to actually do. Fifth thing is about implementing them. This is the typical way to design HRD strategy. So next, going into planned investments as innovative technique. So this is similar to whatever that we talked about. So this is like what are the investments that you do as an innovative technique within HRD? Employee leasing organization. So so this is one technique where you are going to give your employees to other companies. You are leasing an employee that you have. A lot of contract based companies would actually do this, right? It is like body shopping or whatever that you would want to call. Next is participative management. you're going to allow your employees to participate in making the decisions. I think we read about participative management enough. Next is innovative reward plans. You need to have better reward plans. Collaboration with educational institutes. You are going to actually partner with some educational institutes so that they can produce people which could be inducted into your organization. Next is organizational interventions. There are various interventions within the organization which could probably align to your strategy. So that is about planned investments. Next is significance and concerns of HRD. What are the concerns? Okay, so it provides opportunity courses for the individuals to develop skills. So first thing is it should be able to provide people right opportunity. If he is not able to provide, then it is a problem, right? So it should meet their personal objectives. That is what is first concern. The second thing is, so the changes, right? So changes that HRD should actually undergo should be in sync with the business plan. So it needs to align with the business strategy. That is the second concern. The third one is it should encourage employees to improvise their particular knowledge base. Okay, so this is the third concern. Fourth, okay, so they a lot of organizations, I mean, so so basically, what it says is there are a lot of organizations who don't care about all these particular new ways of strategy, alignment, all those stuff. Okay, so this is kind of hampering overall HR development strategy altogether. Right, so you not worrying about newer strategies is a problem. That is what is the fourth point. Okay, fifth point is you have a lot of national issues. Okay, so basically country as a whole or a culture as a whole might be having a lot of what do you say control on certain things. So overall, the way that you need to do training or various other aspects is going to be little problematic. Okay, so being a true driver's workforce is going to be little bit of a concern when you when you bring national issue into the picture. The last point is it is very difficult to terminate an employee. So underperforming, even though they are underperforming, it's not easy to terminate. Okay. So next we are going into corporate counseling. So counseling remains in it is the process of interaction between two persons. So this is in the context of the corporate, right? In the context of the corporate, you could probably have multiple issues. People might not have confidence. They do have competence. They don't know, and they might have certain personal issues or work-related issues, maybe interpersonal fights and all those stuff. Those are some of the scenarios for corporate counseling, right? And effective counselor, this is again a very generic block. Effective counselor, he needs to be a good listener. He should have a right body language, right? And he should listen to the body language of the person who is actually talking, not just about his words. Okay, he should have empathy. He should understand that client, right? He should be able to summarize or summarize whatever the things that is told, and also he should be able to suggest the remedies for those particular problems, right? He should actually help employees in lot of his thinking behavior, and in case of any dysfunctional aspects are there, he needs to correct it, right? So it's essential to establish the proper environment so that people can start talk. So there is a slight difference between counseling, coaching, and mentoring. Coaching is something which you do personally for an employee to meet some objective, where you are actually taking them towards that particular objective, right? So it is about future course of action you are trying to drive it. Whereas counseling, it is about analyzing their present, past, and the future, and then trying to suggest the remedies. That's what counseling is all about, right? Mentoring is again it's an advisory or career oriented interaction, like a friend or a senior employee is skilled, trying to actually play a mentoring role so that you can actually go towards um, the right target, right? So this is about unit 4 of 4. This completes entire block 4 for HRD. I think recording can be stopped.